This is Pastor Jeff Chavis. I'm the pastor of Church Online. We're an online community of faith. You can find us at churchonline.com, but we spell that CHRCH because we say all that's missing is you. Churchonline.com. This morning I'm thinking about the process. Now, what do I mean by that? We are all in the middle of a process, aren't we? It seems like God is doing something around us and through us, even in those times when it doesn't seem like it. But I know, and you probably know as well, we're living in this crazy, fast paced society where we can't wait for that. God's ways are not our ways. And believe me, God's timing is not our timing. We want it right now. We think about the microwave. We think about Amazon. I mean, Amazon has their whole model is built on people getting impatient and wanting things now. That's why we pay extra for Prime so we can get that stuff the next day or the same day even. There's even maybe drone delivery in our future. Maybe someday there'll be a package delivered to your door same day by a drone. It's amazing. And when you think about it, we go and check the tracking maybe several times. We want to know exactly when it's coming. Even though it said it's going to come there tomorrow, we're going to check the tracking, and it gives that, that little phrase. It says in process. It's processing at a facility. Well, if we were to look at our lives, in some ways, don't we wish we could have that? You have that little process, that little bar that tells you how close you are to this thing being delivered to your home. We wish we could see, but I have a feeling that most of us, that's where we would be, right in the middle there, and it would say in process. God is doing something within us. And I know we all have things, we all have situations, but we have to always remember that God does his best over time. God does his best work in every one of us, and it always takes his timing, not my timing. And again, it reminds me of several verses, but one of them, think about Jesus's words, Luke 12:27. He says, consider the lilies, how they grow. In some versions, it says, consider the wildflowers, how they grow. If you are not aware, you should be aware. I live here in the desert of southern Nevada, and the climate is really similar to the Holy Land. And we have these kinds of wildflowers. We got some rain not too long ago, and those wildflowers grow up. What you may not know is they live such a short lifespan and eventually dry up, and the seeds just kind of scatter to the winds. And in order for the next generation to grow, there has to be the right conditions. There has to be the conditions of heat and wind, and then eventually the right storm comes along, waters the flowers, and then you have this beautiful growth. Now pause for a minute, because Jesus said that. Consider those wildflowers and how they grow. It's very brief, it's beautiful, but it takes the right storm. Again, we don't want to hear that, but that's the reality, isn't it? In order for us to take root and to really grow, it takes the right storm in our lives. Let me put it another way. Consider the wildflowers, also consider the Philippians. We're going to look at the book of Philippians chapter 1 verses 3 through 7. Listen to the words of Paul as he's writing to the people that he knows so well. He planted this church. He knows them. He says, "I give thanks to my God for every remembrance of you, always praying with joy for all of you in my every prayer, because of your partnership in the gospel from the first day until now." And now here's the key verse, Philippians 1 verse 6. "I am sure of this, that he who started a good work in you will carry it on to completion until the day of Christ Jesus." Let me read that again. Don't miss that. "I am sure of this, that he who started a good work in you will carry it on to completion until the day of Christ Jesus." Do you hear those words? First off, the Apostle Paul, and I wanted to emphasize that, is sure. He is sure that God has you in process. All of the people he's writing to, he could be writing those words to us this very day. And even though we are impatient, we are waiting, I don't know, waiting for the promotion at work, waiting for the promise of God to be fulfilled. Oh, and then here's a big one. Waiting for that prodigal. to come to their senses. We've been praying, we've been diligent, and we're just waiting on the process. I'm sure of this, that he who started the good work in you will carry it on to completion, or some Bibles, that's the same, to perfection. God's going to give us this thing that we're looking for. Again, his promise, whatever it is going to happen to perfection in his timing. So what do? We focus on the process. We know that little status bar, it's not out for delivery just yet. It's still in process. It's still in transit. Think about it in another way too. Maybe if when you first started praying for this thing, maybe months, maybe days, maybe hours ago, maybe you weren't ready then. And God is preparing that soil of your soul. The second thing is, remember what I said, consider the wildflowers. There's a process and there's the right storm. Again, we don't want to hear that, but that's the reality. The storms of life will come, and we just need to be patient in them, believing that that's part of the process, believing that God is doing that incredible work. One more passage, Psalm 37, 5-7. Listen, the words of David: commit your way to the Lord, trust also in him, and he shall bring it to pass. You hear those? Trust in him, he will bring it to pass. He shall bring forth your righteousness as the light, your justice as the noonday. Rest in the Lord and wait patiently for him. Now that's the key right there. Rest in the Lord, wait patiently for him. Think of the wildflowers. Consider those seeds that have been blown and scattered. They're just there, resting, waiting for the right moment, for the right storm. And then I love this last part. Do not fret because of him who prospers in the way, because of the man who brings wicked schemes to pass. Don't look to the left and the right and see other people. Don't compare our journey, our process with anyone else's. Only look toward him, trust in him, wait patiently for him. I don't know who needs to hear that today, but I do believe somebody needs to hear that today. Maybe it's you. Maybe you're going through something. Again, when I said those things, the promotion, the prodigal, the the promise of God, remember that you're in the process.